Today on the program, Hyundai presents a real old-school brutal 4x4, and Audi brings back a big V6 TDI to its lineup. A new Chinese brand is coming to France, and honestly, we're starting to get a bit lost. And finally, a Netflix-like platform is offering content for car enthusiasts. Hyundai, which we mostly knew for its well-mannered SUVs, has decided this time to show up with muddy boots and the look of someone who wants to play in the big leagues. At the New York Auto Show, the Korean brand unveiled the Boulder concept, and the message is clear. No more pretending, we're talking about a real 4x4 here, one of those that doesn't apologize when the road ends. The Boulder is built on a body-on-frame architecture. In other words, it's the classic recipe for serious off-roading, more robust for heavy use, better suited for towing heavy loads, and much better adapted for utility or pickup versions. It's a bit of an old-school technique, sure, but like a good cast-iron pot, if it's still around, it's usually because it works. This positioning says a lot about Hyundai's ambitions, and they're not in Europe. The target is obvious: the leading names in the North American market, where pickups and true off-roaders are almost a religion. Hyundai is fully committed, specifying this vehicle will be designed in the U.S., developed for the American market, and manufactured in the U.S. using American steel. In terms of style, the Boulder really changes things up. The design is massive, angular, very upright, with simple and almost brutal shapes. Inside, it's the same philosophy. The Boulder favors a functional approach with robust materials, ergonomics designed for tough conditions, and a deliberately simplified layout. In short, a cabin designed to work, last, and survive more than just a speed bump in a supermarket parking lot. On the technical side, Hyundai is still keeping things under wraps. No full spec sheet has been released yet, but everything about the concept suggests engines suited for heavy use, real off-road capabilities, and possibly partial electrification. That wouldn't be surprising. Even though V8s have disappeared from Hyundai's lineup, the group still sells models in North America equipped with a 3.5L twin-turbo V6, sometimes electrified. Above all, this concept marks a strategic shift for the brand. Hyundai is no longer just expanding its range of electrified SUVs. It's exploring a segment dominated by well-established players. As for the timeline, nothing is set in stone yet, but a launch is expected around 2030. Next, Audi has just made a delightfully anachronistic choice, almost provocative in an automotive world that loves to tell you the future inevitably looks like a power outlet and a mobile app. The German brand is giving the Q5 a 3.0 LV6 diesel engine, a type of engine that's hardly made anymore, or rather, one that manufacturers hardly dare to offer these days. So Audi is adding to the Q5 a more refined, more powerful, more prestigious diesel engine than the already well-known 204 horsepower four-cylinder TDI. The newcomer is this 3.0 LV6 TDI, supported by mild hybrid technology. The result is a power output of 299 horsepower, and above all, 580 Nm of torque. In everyday language, that means that at the slightest touch of the accelerator, this Q5 will respond with the brutal calm of a nightclub bouncer in a tailored suit. With this engine, the Q5 is capable of going from 0 to 100 km/h in 5 seconds and reaching 250 km/h. Naturally, one thing that bothers people in France is the penalty tax. Audi hasn't yet released the exact CO2 emissions figure for this version, but it already claims 2,135 kg. So, at the very least, it falls under a weight penalty of 12,080 euros. Knowing that, excluding the emissions penalty, the Q5 V6 TDI starts at 75,100 euros for the standard body and 77,300 euros for the sport version, which means, including the penalty, you'll need to expect a minimum price of 100,000 euros. This return of the big old-school V6 TDI actually says a lot about the state of the market. Audi continues to play on all fronts: fully electric, plug-in hybrid, mild hybrid gasoline, four-cylinder diesel, and now this more refined V6 diesel. It's a pretty spectacular technological balancing act, but also very pragmatic. Because as long as there are customers who drive a lot, sometimes tow, or simply want a sensible SUV, turning every trip into a philosophical debate about fast charging, this type of engine will keep its clientele. Next, Zeekr is the new premium card that the Chinese group Geely is playing in the French market. And when we say Geely, we're talking about a giant that has already taken over Volvo, owns 50% of smart-launched Polestar, acquired Lotus, and is also rolling out Lincoln Company. This time, the group is coming to France with Zeekr, its high-end electric brand. And the offensive starts right away, since orders are already open here, with 4 models. First, the Zeekr X, a compact electric SUV about 4.45 meters long, with a starting price set at €37,990, a 49 kW battery, a 270 horsepower engine, and a rather ridiculous range at that price, 330 km WLTP. Next comes the Zeekr 7 GT, a large electric wagon measuring 4.82 meters. Here, Zeekr aims to make a strong impression with its price, features, and performance. The model starts at €45,990 with rear-wheel drive, 420 horsepower, a 75 kWh battery, and a range of 519 kilometers. The most impressive aspect is the fast charging from 10 to 80% in just 13 minutes. Above that is the Zeekr 7X, a large electric SUV also measuring 4.82 meters. It generally uses the same formula as the 7 GT, 420 horsepower with rear-wheel drive, 645 horsepower with all-wheel drive, and a 75 or 100 kW battery. Naturally, with an SUV size, the range drops a bit, 480 kilometers, 615 kilometers, or 543 kilometers, depending on the version. Its starting price is set at €52,990. And finally, there's the Zeekr 001, the flagship model of the range, a kind of very large electric crossover wagon that's about 5 meters long. The rear-wheel drive version has 270 horsepower with a range of 620 kilometer. Prices start at €60,990. What you need to understand is that it's not meant for mass volume in France like more mainstream brands might do. Its positioning is clearly premium with objectively expensive cars. But to reassure French customers who are still a bit cautious about new Chinese brands, Zeekr also highlights a 10-year or 200,000 kilometers warranty. Basically, Zeekr's arrival in France tells us 2 things at once. First, the continued rise of Chinese automotive groups in the European market, and especially in France. Then, Geely's very particular strategy, multiplying brands at the risk of totally losing the consumer. And finally, just imagine for a moment a streaming platform, a bit like the one where you watch endless series about people baking pastries, but entirely, exclusively, passionately dedicated to automobiles, the real kind, with a capital A. Memocar is the sanctuary of beautiful machines. As soon as you connect, you're no longer stuck in a traffic jam of hybrid SUVs. You're transported. You have access to over 150 hours of pure, hard-hitting documentaries, created by people who understand what the word passion means. You want to understand how Enzo Ferrari built his empire and discover the dream of the Commendatore? It's there. You want to relive the Alpine saga or hear the roar of a classic Corvette? It's there, too. From the majestic Rolls-Royce to the eternal beasts like the Jaguar E-Type, including the legends of Bugatti, the madness of Carroll Shelby, and even the history of Peugeot, everything is on Memocar. There are even documentaries about motorcycles for those who enjoy bugs in their teeth. All of this isn't just a collection of videos, it's our heritage. These are stories, men and women, brilliant designers and fearless drivers who have shaped European and global industrial history. And the best part is, they add new films every week. The annual subscription is normally set at €64, which is already an absolute bargain to have access to the finest automotive video library in Europe. But for Octane subscribers, if you use the promo code Octane when you sign up, the subscription drops to €50 for a limited time. For that price, you get a whole year of myths, legends, burnt rubber, and fascinating stories accessible on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Use the link in the description, the pinned comment, or in the bio to access Memocar. Make sure to use the promo code Octane Get comfortable, turn up the volume, and let the real engines tell you their story. Thank you all for watching this new video. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss anything. Ciao.